always interested in past lives, and the only reason for that is literally because I know from myself a health condition I have in this lifetime. With my lung condition, there was all the consultants who saw my scans, my x-rays, sort of said, well, you must be smoking 1,000 cigarettes a day, you have a lot of scarring. And I hadn't ever smoked, and also that my family background, I hadn't been in a household full of smokers, so they couldn't explain why I had so much damage on my lungs. And at the time they sort of said, you know, you're going to have to restrict yourself, you're going to have oxygen cylinder, and that's not what happened to me right now. I made a few changes and I looked at a few things. Anyway, so that led me down the path of me looking at past lives, because before I was told by the consultant that I had a lung condition, I would never have been interested in past lives. It just wasn't one of those things that came on my radar. Anyway, so over the years now, I'd say about 4 years, I see some clients from time to time. We look at past lives and we explore, you know, what's going on. Now, I'm also trained as a therapist, so I don't want to say everything is a past life, but I know when I've had some clients, when I'm sitting with them as a therapist, we look at what's going on for them, what's stopping them, you know, if they're at crossroads in their life or there's an ongoing issue, I look at that with them as well. And I think the fortunate thing with what I do is that I'm also a psychic medium, so I also have my spirit team that sort of comes in and helps me to work with individuals as well. So today I had this lovely lady who came through in the sense that I saw her on Skype, and I'm not going to mention her name because of confidentiality, but I'm sure she wouldn't mind me sharing her story. That she came through to me today. It was a psychic reading, was very open-minded, didn't know what to expect, and we just said, shall we just see what happens where we go from? And she said, yes, fine. So we sat together. She'd found out about me from a YouTube clip that I did with Jeff Myers about my near-death experience. And I've had 3 near-death experiences, so that really woke me up to the fact that there is more to life than what we see. So, you know, that's how she found me, watching that YouTube clip. It's still out there now. And so that's why she booked the session with me, because she was just interested. So saw her today, very open about what, you know, let's see where we go and everything. And the biggest thing that kept on coming through, and as I say, we never know what a session's going to be about until my spirit team come through. And one of the things that came through was about being judged, for her, and not to expose herself. There was a couple other things as well, and we were looking at that because what she had done, she'd made this big change in her life. She was now working with her intuition. She reads tarot cards, astrology, numerology, and there was a number of other things, and she's a life coach. Wonderful lady, really, really lovely, got on really, really well with her. And she'd come from a different field totally. She was in the business world, in a large work for large corporate companies. And she said that this was her passion now, but wasn't sure how it was going to work or what was going to happen, whatever. But there was this fear for her that of how people might judge her and stuff. And we looked at that and started to explore it. So using obviously my therapy skills, and they were coming through my team, and we were looking at where does this judgment come from. And, you know, obviously I've studied psychology as well, and she had as well. She's done a lot of personal development. And, you know, we were looking at first, you know, I was told, well, looking at possibly coming through her family as a child, you know, we look at that, we explore that. And she'd done a lot of transformational work on herself before coming to see me today, through other therapists, through other sessions, about looking at why this feeling judged, or, you know, expectations of herself, not really wanting to stand out, sort of lacking confidence in her business now. But that could be related to the fact of her upbringing and how, you know, her childhood and stuff. But it still wasn't shifting. So this is where, you know, a regular therapy session, I'd work with a client if they have an issue that's coming up for them. We look at where it could be coming from. It could be their family setup that they've come from, their childhood or relationship they're in now, or whatever's going on for you. We'll look at that, and she had already done that. So she said, but I just don't understand why it's still hanging around. Anyway, so I was checking in with my team, and they were showing me some images. and she's in a different part of the world, and they were showing me, you know, Brazil, Africa, Europe and other places, Portugal and all these other places. And I said there's something to do with ancestral link, because when I have a client also, I you know, I want them to give me the minimum of information, because I like to say what I'm picking up from my spiritual team, because then it gives you the evidence that I'm confirming to you, you know, things that you may know or may not know, but it's better for me to do it that way. So I said, this is what I'm picking up. And I said, oh, ancestrally, this is your ancestral links to these countries, and you know, who you are as a person. And so we were looking at that, and she said, yes, that makes sense of her background and going back hundreds of years for her ancestral links, because I could see what had been happening to her family and parts of the world they'd come from. And so we were looking at that, and it was about slave trade, and there was a lot of information going on there. Anyway, so we was looking at that, and then I said, but there's still something else. And I said to her, they're bringing me your neck, and I feel that at some point that you may have been judged for being who you were and not being able to speak up. And she said, it's funny, in this lifetime, her neck really does hurt. She was thinking about getting, you know, seeing somebody about it, and every couple of weeks it flares up. And, you know, I'm not medically trained, and I say to everybody, you know, you need to check out these medical issues yourself, first of all. I said, but what I'm being shown is that I think if I say this to you and if it doesn't feel right, you would tell me. And I said, do you think that if I said to you, could you have been hanged in a previous lifetime? And I feel like I got rope around your neck. And she was a bit like, oh my goodness. She said, I'd been speaking to, she said, to her husband not so long ago, and said, I wonder if I've been hanged in a previous life. So I'd never heard that, but that's what I'd picked up from my guides. That, you know, with the neck injury that she would have had, obviously it would have killed her at that time, and it was just that her body has a memory of it. So I was trying to explain to her. So I've got my little stacking doll here, my wooden doll, and I was saying to, imagine this is like your lifetime here. This could be you at this age. And I said, as we go back through time, you know, there's the younger part of you, and it goes back even further. You know, you become a teenager, then a child. But I said, not only that, I said, but if you think of it as past lives even, that these rings could represent past lives that you've been through. And I said, and there's always something that needs to be looked at. So I said to her, you know, if you look at the fact that you'd already had therapy, personal development about the situation with your family and you as a child, that's you. But if you go back even further, what happens is, in each lifetime as a soul, that however, you know, what was going on for you, if you die tragically or there's some sort of trauma, you can hold on to the rings, the layers of your soul. So I was saying to her that that's why I was picking up for her, that I felt that there was something going on with her neck. She said yes, and I said, well, this is what I can see. And she said, oh my God, I'd always said it sort of jokingly about with my husband, you know, I wasn't too sure. So I said, that's what I saw in one of the lifetimes. And I said, it was all about you speaking out, your voice at that time, that you was penalised, you was punished for speaking out. So I said, normally if we look back in history, that what's happened is, you know, if our voice has had an opinion, or we think differently from the society we are brought up in or the society we live in, we can be penalised, and we can be, you know, things can happen to us. We can be hanged on other stuff. So that can happen also if you look at, you know, today we look at medicine. If we look back then, going right the way back to the period, we might have used natural herbs, and you would have been called like a witch or something, or whatever, and you could have been hanged or drowned or whatever. And funny, today, you know, it's modern medicine, it's converted from, you know, homeopathic, you know, medicines, aromatherapy and all the rest of them. Now we're able to use that. We can speak up now. We can sort of use those natural remedies and not be told that we're a witch or whatever. Anyway, so there was that. And then also I picked up that I said something to her about, oh my God, I said, I think you may have been drowned in a past life. What are you like with water? And she said, oh my God, I have trauma around water. I hate being in water. And I said, well, let's have a look, because I'm always aware, you know, as a therapist as well, and the science of the mind and how it works, I'm aware that we can pick up traumas or phobias or fears from childhood or anything along our adult life. Something might have happened and you've stored it and you hold on to it, and you wouldn't want to go swimming again if she'd, you know, something happened to her. So she had said to me quite openly, you know, my father had drowned, and she said I'd done the work on that. She goes, but I can't understand still why I don't like water so much. So we looked at that, and she had done all the work before in it. So I was saying to her, and you know, I'm just trying to make you aware that if you've had a situation that's happened and you've worked with a therapist and you're still holding on to it, I feel that, you know, if I think of the years I've worked in this industry now as a past life practitioner, plus as a counsellor, regular counsellor, hypnotherapist and everything else that I've done, and now working psychically and working my spiritual team, I believe my thoughts are that then your body's holding it, your soul on a cellular basis is holding that. If it's not in this lifetime, it could be possibly linked back to something else. So in a past life, I think that you've been drowned. I said, and again, I think it's about judgment. I think your voice speaking up, that you were afraid to speak up. And I think back in a previous lifetime that there's no doubt that you probably was doing similar stuff to you do now, as the numerology, astrology. I said, and you know, you were punished for that back then. And I said also what Spirit was telling me was that literally when we come back in this lifetime, if you're a child, and like myself, I was always pulled to Egyptian period of that time, from a very young age, you know. I don't think we even studied it at that time at school, and I was always going to the library to get books. But if you're sort of have that feeling to, you know, something's calling you, a period of history that you really like, or something you feel uncomfortable with, you know, it might be the fashion, it might be something to do with the music of that time, you know, then there's an indicator that most likely you could have had a lifetime in that period of time, in that era. So I said to her that, you know, you being so aware of you liking numerology and astrology from a very young age, and no one else in your family was into it, it's most likely it's carried on from a previous lifetime. It's sort of like a magnet, sort of directing you to, let's get you back on course, let's get you back doing it again, let's navigate you to that area, that field. So there was that possibility, and she said, my God, that would make so much sense, because at the time when she was young, you know, people I know with me, they were like, that's the weird kid, looking at Egyptian times and stuff like that. But that's what I was into, and Tudor period, and you know, there's lots of history and stuff. So my belief is that, you know, working as a past life practitioner and all the work that I do, that I feel that you store memories in the layers of your soul. And it can be on a cellular basis too, and your body can be indicating to you, can show you the signs that, you know, in this lifetime you haven't had an injury in this lifetime, or that's happened, that health issue. It could be literally that it could be an old injury or an old trauma, or a way that you could have passed through, you know, from previous lifetime. Now, I'm also of the belief, and there is evidence of this as well, that looking at it from this lifetime, you know, if you have ailments and stuff that are going on in your body, you are going through something. Firstly, you do medically get that checked out, of course you do, but also your emotions are stored in your body. So this goes back to the past life stuff as well. Emotions are held in the body. Your cells are receiving the information. You know, if you think about something that happened, your body naturally produces the chemicals. You know, if you're scared of something, it's fight, flee or freeze. And so your body's naturally producing the chemicals, the hormones you need. So you're actually storing it in your body. So unless you run away, or you stand still, or you fight, or whether that's how you respond to a situation. Now, my belief is that also, and working with my team, is that if you look at the past lives, however you may have passed over at that particular time, if you're hanged for speaking your truth back then, you know, if you were into, we'd call it witchcraft or whatever, but I would just say as in the psychic quantum field back then, that then if you're hanged for speaking your truth, then in this lifetime you might have difficulty in speaking up, having the confidence, and scared of feeling judged. And this is exactly what happened for my client who came to see me today. So, you know, her neck injury, she still feels something in her back of her neck, and also her throat, about her feeling judged in the profession she wants to move into. And we're going to be looking at that, you know, me coaching her for doing, you know, moving forward, because that's what I do as well. So your layers of your soul, the layers of your cells, the layers of who you are, you even going back to your childhood, you know, each of these layers could represent you, you know, different age groups or things that have happened to you. So there's many layers, as you're more complex than you can imagine. And I'd said that to her today, and I said, Spirit were giving me like inside of a pyramid, you know, if you imagine inside a pyramid and it's all being mirrored, there's so many sides to each of us. And also what came up was that what they were saying to me is that, you know, family members that you have in this lifetime in your soul pod, that, you know, when something comes up for you, it's a mirror. So when something might feel difficult for you in this present life, it could actually just be a mirror of what needs looking at. It's showing to you, it's identifying there's a sticking block or something you need to learn from. So if you think of each lifetime we come round, the people that we have around us, and it could be the most difficult thing ever. You know, I'm going through a situation now and literally trying to get a contract sort of delinked, decoupled, what should I say, it's like an agreement that has to be signed officially by myself and my ex-partner, and there's difficulty at the moment that he won't sign it. And for me it's like, but I know it's a contractual agreement that has to be signed in this lifetime, so I don't continue to come forward in my next lifetime or karmically, where it releases me, my soul contract with him. So, you know, we can have soul contracts with individuals. So also, you know, a member of her family that, you know, something's going on for her, she could have a soul contract with that individual that's bringing something up for her that she still needs to work through. But it could be something from a past life. So I know, like my ex-partner, that on a soul level, we've had contracts before that actually in this lifetime, however difficult it is, by releasing me out of this soul contract with him, and literally I have an official agreement document that needs to be signed right now, that until he signs that, we can't release energetically from each other. And like we know, you know, I'm into numerology, and we know with numerology, like every single word, you know, it adds up to a number, a total, and that number means something. So a contractual agreement, there's energy in it. And it's the same as, you know, when you sign a marriage certificate or a birth certificate, it's a contractual agreement in a sense. It's like this individual coming into the world, this is who they're going to be, this is their name, this is the time, this is the date, this is the place they've been born into. So everything has some sort of energy attached to it. So I was with her today, we were talking about this, and then great question she asked, so what do I do? She said that, now you've told me this, but what do I do with it? So I know maybe in a past life, you know, I may have been hanged, I may have been drowned. And I said to her, you know, and we was talking about, and I have the same thing with water, that, you know, when I walk into water, either it's a pool or it's the sea, I have to have my feet touching the ground or the floor of the pool. Because it's this fear, it's sort of like feeling I'm going to drown. And that's, if you think of, you know, the drowning situation, you know, with witches back then, you know, with their feet weren't touching the ground, they was either going to hang or they're going to drown, they're going to drop. So it's that sort of sensation. And another thing that came up was about her feet and her ankles. Something came up that there was some sort of constriction, that some sort of device that they showed me that she was wearing. And interestingly enough, her feet, she has issues with her feet and some sensitivity, because I told her what I saw and she said, oh my God, that might explain my sensitivity that I have in my feet. So what happens is when you become aware of a possibility, you know, if I was to sit here and say something to you and you weren't sure and it didn't feel right, then that's not right. You know, it's not saying that, you know, I want you to believe what I'm telling you. It's about what you feel is right. And as I said to you before, on a cellular level, your body's going to feel if it's right or wrong. You know, you're tuning to your gut feeling. You'll go, does that feel right? And you'll either be adamantly, no, that's not right, or actually that makes sense of why these things are happening for me. So I said to her, it's just acknowledging it. So you can soothe yourself by, you know, when you go into the sea, you know, just telling yourself, your subconscious mind, you're going to be okay. You're not going to drown. This is a past life memory that your body's holding on to. So, you know, that was something that they kept saying to me today, that our bodies hold on to past memories, whether it's this lifetime or a previous lifetime. So as I said to you about, you know, if we're scared or fearful or anxious, our body stores the chemical reaction in our body, our hormones and everything, to say, you know, if we're scared, we want to run away, so we're going to produce a lot of cortisone, whatever, so it gives us the energy to get up and run away. So our body stores it. And there's been scientific evidence to prove that, you know, when your body goes through a state of fear, for a long time, anxiety or stress, that it affects your organs. So, you know, so it does actually happen. It's a physical thing. So what's to say then that if it happens now in this living body, that, you know, if they could dissect me and they look at my organs and my organs were showing something to say, oh yeah, you've had a period of stress, and we can see that because your organs are producing something, or they change shape or whatever, then what's to say that, you know, your past self of who you once were, you know, is holding on to information as well. It's a bit like if you cut open a tree, and you know, you see the rings on the inside the log, and you see that, you can, if you look at those rings inside the log, it's like a fingerprint or an echo of what's happened during the lifetime of that tree. So if it's been drought, you'll see the lines might be thicker or wider or whatever, or there's been flooding. The tree will absorb all the information within it, and that's the same as human body. So I was saying this to her today, so I said, work with it. You know, if you have that, you know, what happens with the water, you know, you need to soothe yourself, say it's okay, that, you know, that's a past life, you know, I'm okay now, just to reassure yourself and let your body listen to it, because your body's listening to you all the time. You know, your mind is, your body is, and everything. And there were some other suggestions I made to her. So I wanted to share this because it seems really important to share this about past lives. If you have something that's going on for you, that you're seeing doctors and the medical profession, again, I'm not medically trained, so I would always suggest that you go and get you seek medical advice. I think it's really important. And then if after that, you know, you've seen a therapist or you've seen a consultant or whatever, and it can't be cured or cleared up, or still have a nagging pain, or it's still persistent, it's worthwhile looking at, you know, booking a session, having a look, if not with me, with somebody else, but having a look at where that is, you know, where is it, where can we trace it back to? You know, is it this lifetime? Is it a previous lifetime? You may not even believe in lifetimes, past lifetimes or future lifetimes or whatever. But it's worth exploring and having a look at it, because as we know, we are more than what you see in front of you. There is a lot more going on internally, externally around you. And, you know, it makes a difference where you are right now, your energy stream around the people that are with you. I mean, we know that even from animals, we watch animals, their environments they live in, you know, you're always picking up information. And I know that, you know, even through psychology that I've trained in, all the work that I've done with individuals about their environments, you know, stressful environment, that's going to affect you. You know, that's why it's important to find the environment that works for you. So I wanted to just share it because I found it amazing that, you know, I can sit in front of this person, I've never met them before, lives in a different part of the world, or on Zoom, and I'm giving her some information, and she's just saying, yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling. So we finished today, and she seemed a lot happier. She had a better understanding of who she is, and that's it. At the end of the day, it's having that better understanding of who you are and the journey that you've been on, so that you can help yourself. It's to give you the tools and the skills and stuff. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. But if you have any questions, please, you know, write them down at the bottom. I'll get back to you. I'll answer as much as I can. This is going out on YouTube, so please click and subscribe because there's more information to be shared. I think it's worthwhile having a look at that. So click and subscribe, and then you'll hear any more videos I have to put out about the morphic field, the energy field around us. Okay, take care.